Hi everyone and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter and this is Connor.
Hey guys.
We're going to talk about DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 15. It's called Destiny. Full spoilers for the episode as always. And it doesn't surprise me it was called Destiny. I didn't know that before I watched it, but they said the word Destiny about 50 goddamn
They
times.
did. But you know what? I didn't hate this episode. I'm not saying it was good, but I didn't hate it.
Well, I kind of agree with you, and I'll say how I kind of agree with you. I agree that this is probably the best one in at least like 7 weeks,
Yeah, in a long time.
if not longer. It's possibly even the best episode since episode 2. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I'm thinking maybe. Oh, I don't know. Maybe the Time Pirates one was better.
but here's the problem. There's still a shit ton of things wrong with it, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that even some of the stuff that was a little bit better, like a couple of the character interactions felt a bit more natural. There was actual plot. They weren't just stalling, which was
Yeah.
nice. Which is they feels like they've been doing for several episodes now. Um, but part of the problem is even when it was doing something that was a little bit better and potentially more fun, it was all based on stuff that had been happening in the last few weeks, and it was just kind of like this sort of weird bittersweet feeling of this is kind of better, but
It's kind of been tainted.
yeah, I don't care anymore.
If the stuff that before it hadn't been a problem, this probably would have been outright good.
I don't know if I'd even go that far, but it would have been better.
Fair enough. I think I enjoyed it slightly more than you did, to be honest.
Major problems I have.
Aye.
The time vortex thing. What did they call it? The
The
Oculus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just such a.
Oh, it's so Doctor Who. I love it.
It's just out of nowhere. This is a thing that exists, and if it's destroyed, no more seeing into the future and looking at the time stream or.
I know
any
it
of
was
that.
a bit. It was a bit kind of sudden. There was no build up to all
It
of
was
it.
just
But
sudden, and
there was
then
multiple Doctor Who references this episode, so I'm happy.
and even the whole Time Masters thing where he's like, yeah, and that's why we ordered Savage to kill your family. I'm like, oh, that just landed like a damp thud. Like,
Oh, that's me. Sorry,
so if it's not hiccuping, it's sneezing with you.
it's hay fever. It's killing me this last week.
Dear, 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 dear. But as I was saying, yeah, so like that whole revelation just lands like a
Oh yeah,
damp thud.
definitely.
Like I don't care. Like I really don't give a shit. It's just a really puny little twist that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. Also, the whole idea that everything all season has been them manipulating them to do what needs to be done. Now don't get me wrong. I like the idea that the thing later is going to be an invasion from Thanagar. That's kind
Yeah.
of cool as a
That was-
DC fan.
There was some cool DC stuff in this.
But like I don't know, it feels like did they have this planned? And I imagine they did, but it just doesn't feel like it was actually executed.
It
Do you know
doesn't.
what it feels like? And I think I've said this before, but the entire plot of this season feels like a 2 hour movie that they
It
have
does.
somehow stretched out over 16 episodes, and because of that,
I feel like this should have been 8 episodes at most.
at most,
At most, yeah. Which is a shame because there are some good ideas in here. There really are. They're just
poorly implemented.
yeah.
Nothing has any weight. Nothing's. I mean, we have a character death, which they do their best. They do their best to try and make us care about Snart, right? But the problem is though, is that Rory had already knocked out Atom and took
Do
his
you know
place.
what?
So when
I
Snart
was
came in,
laughing.
when Snart came in and did it again to him, I just started laughing. I'm like,
I did too because I was like, please tell me Sarah's about to do it to him.
yeah, I was
really
like,
thought that's what was going to
are
happen.
they just going to keep rotating? This was going to happen.
This is out of a fucking comedy show now.
So, and she gave him the kiss, and they did have genuine chemistry. But at the same time, I thought the scene where he kind of brings it up, and he's like, "Oh, our future with you,"
Yeah.
or whatever, and I'm like, that's a bit on the nose. Like,
The kiss was fine. I don't mind that.
no, the kiss was fine, but again, it was kind of silly with the previous scene, which
It was.
just felt forced.
It was.
So, there's that. Another problem I had is Jefferson knowing how to put the time travel element into the ship or fix it properly.
Yeah, it's like he's a mechanic and he spent a few months on a time ship and now he knows time travel mechanics.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, again, I like the chemistry in the scene with Rory and Atom when he's eating the cupcakes And the sort of bond, like, see, when
See.
they're talking about the food, I was getting the bonding and I was liking it. But see, as soon as Roy's like, "Oh, I thought about the team and that's what stopped me from turning into Kronos," I'm like, I don't buy this. What has happened since you came back
I know,
as Kronos?
But cakes and donuts fix everything. It's a fact.
No, I like the bonding there otherwise, but what has happened since he's come back in the last like 4 or 5 episodes? They just almost immediately let him be a main member of the team again.
Yeah,
And,
they had like one episode where it was like,
and the thing is, this whole arc of him kind of gaining a conscience and then Snart sacrificing himself for him to take that and then become a proper hero in some way, retaining some of his attitude but becoming more of a hero, could be a great arc. But it just feels like, oh, we didn't build up at all. We just flipped a switch at the end and it happened.
it's weird because like I know how we just said, oh, it should have been 8 episodes, but at the same time, with the 16, this could have been built better over time instead of just sudden.
Yeah, this was something that could have benefited from the longer time if they had more.
It's like they've got the longer time, and they've kind of gone treated it as if it was 8 hours still, but then stretched out where they've had to. It just doesn't work.
Do you know what's weird about this? This is genuinely how I feel. This is the opposite of almost anything I would ever say about a TV show. But what they should have done with this to keep it at 16, so they could develop some of the character stuff over the long time, is the main plot should have been kind of half wrapped up early on and then came back for the last couple of episodes. The most of that middle chunk should have been standalone episodes that had nothing to do with Vandal Savage, nothing to do with stopping Rip's family from getting killed.
I agree, and I think
standalone
that's why,
Avengers.
I think that's why the Time Pirates one works so well, because it was just a standalone thing that was nothing to do with anything else. I mean, sure, like the opening premise was they were going somewhere for a reason, but pretty quickly it was, this is nothing to do with Vandal Savage, this is a completely separate adventure, and I think that worked much better.
Honestly, it feels like a couple of decent ideas that feels marred by a really shitty, like, past, 6, 8 episodes, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
And just really kind of mediocre crap writing. Because it still is quite bad in this episode.
And there's some stuff I like the Doctor Who references. So there's the Ray reversing the polarity, classic Doctor Who. The phone ringing in the time machine, classic Doctor Who.
Yeah, did you not hate the sound mixing on that, though?
A little bit.
Because I hated it. It sounded like narration, and that really bothered me.
I know, but...
Make it sound like it's coming through the goddamn phone.
I know, but it was like, but it's a Doctor Who reference, so I kind of let it slide a little bit.
See, the problem, everything you just said, though, everything you just said is not good writing.
It's not.
It's references and Easter eggs or whatever.
Yeah,
it's not
I know. I'll get to some of the other good stuff after I get the references. I like some of the DC ones. I like was that a time sphere when Jax was back in with Stein and they're in the lab? Was that a time sphere above them? Like it was clear and see through. I think it was meant to be one.
I didn't notice, but maybe.
And then on Rip's desk, he had one of Dr. Midnight's blackout bombs, which was kind of cool. But yeah, they're just references. Stuff I did like in terms of, not the writing, but the way it was shot. I really liked I think it looked much better this week.
Direction was a little bit better, but it didn't look better overall, I thought, though, mainly because it still felt like almost every scene was on a slightly differently dressed warehouse.
Yeah, I don't mean in terms of separate, I just mean in terms of direction, yeah. Like there was that shot as they walked in, it was overhead and it kind of spun round. It was like, it looked nice compared to the last few, which have been very stilted.
I honestly feel like I could go through this season again. I'm not going to because I don't really want to watch it again. But I could go through this and name you like several scenes throughout the whole season that have been shot in the same building.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I don't mean like the ship set. I mean like places that are meant to be different.
Things like the warehouse where they do the meet with young Rip.
Yeah, that was the same places that Oculus was in this episode. I'm willing to bet you money on it.
I'd put money on it.
So.
I would. Another positive to this episode, almost no Kendra. It's amazing how much that makes a difference. There was no love triangle bullshit. I mean, there was like 3 scenes with her and Vandal, which, ugh.
Yeah, those were definitely the worst scenes, because Vandal's still awful as well. Vandal just is hammy as goddamn.
It kind of makes me really not look forward to next week. It's like, oh god.
Because it's all going to be about him and her.
Yeah. And Carter, because... Of course, but who gives a fuck about Carter?
and that's been some of the weakest stuff the entire season. So, I yeah, there was some improvements in this episode. There certainly was. There were some little character moments that were not bad. It felt like there was more of an attempt to actually make it have an energy and have plot that was actually moving forward rather than stalling. But that is pretty much where my positives would end. I would still say this was not that enjoyable an hour of TV, and I'm still kind of dreading the final.
Oh, I'm definitely dreading the final.
I'm just
Definitely dreading the final.
I guess I would sum it up as too little, too late.
Yeah, yeah. It was, if this had been 6, 7 episodes ago, wouldn't have been anywhere near as bad.
I don't know. That's Legend of Tomorrow, which I feel like. I mean, I hate Arrow, right? But I seem to laugh a lot more while I'm tearing it to shreds.
I feel like this week was a bit of an exception for Legends because there was stuff like them knocking each other out.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I like it was meant to be funny, but it was
really cracking funny. Me up. Yeah, but Arrow's not meant to be funny either. Let's be fair.
Oh no! I know, but I feel like Arrow will do it multiple times per episode.
Oh yeah.
Whereas with Legends, it's only been a couple of things here or there. So, well, that's this week's Legends of Tomorrow. We did get news that Supergirl is coming back for season 2 today.
Fuck yeah!
That cheered me up. Maybe,
but it's on the CW.
I don't care. It's fine.
I know, but I'm saying we can cross over with the Flash more.
We can. Unfortunately, it means that we're probably gonna have to dabble with Arrow, but whatever.
Yes, we'll see what we can get.
Yeah. Oh well. Actually, one last thing about Legends. Can I just say I like the opening scene being that scene from the pilot, that then and then Jefferson shows up, right?
It actually shows how much those two have grown as a whole.
To a point, although when Jefferson started talking about how much has changed, I was like, I don't really buy that. I don't feel like that much has changed.
I did towards the end. I mean, they haven't been like the last few. They weren't arguing. They weren't.
No, there's been a slight change, but I didn't like when Stein was like, "Oh, clearly this trip's meant something good," and then Jefferson's like, "I'll get over the whole roofie thing." I'm like, I don't really. Is it because it's the line? It's the best thing I never did. When he flat out says that, I'm like, no, bullshit. Okay. I don't buy that for a second.
No, I don't buy that one.
None of the adventures have justified that yet. None of it.
No. It does go slightly too far with it.
I don't know, it almost feels like they're patting themselves on the back for a great season of storytelling almost with those lines. And then it's like, no, but you've not had any of that.
Yeah. No, that is fair.
But I will say, what I was going to say though was, I liked that opening scene, him coming in, but I'm actually really disappointed all that ended up being was him helping him fix a thing that's a Deus Ex Machina device that goes in the ship.
Well, see, it left me with a question, because this show is so damn unclear on its rules for time travel. Did this always happen? Was this, so when we first watched the pilot, did this always happen and Stein roofied him because he got the idea from Jax? Or... Because I don't know with this show.
Well, it depends. Did Stein know he was coming back because he knew he'd helped him? And if so, why bother sending him away in the first place? Because the whole point was to keep him safe. So. Yeah,
I don't know. This show's time travel rules make no sense and confound me. And it leaves too many questions.
They're bollocks. They just make things up as they go along.
Even fucking Doctor Who, which is batshit insane with its rules, I can follow. I could have made sense. This just it changes its mind every damn. The difference
is that Doctor Who has a sort of zany energy to it.
Yeah.
And even when it's not zany, it'll have like a horror episode where everything's really creepy, or it'll do things in style that carry you through. So it's like the rules for the time travel don't bother you that much. Whereas with this, it's meant to be like the crux of the show, what the whole thing's based around, and it just kind of feels.
It's because they've had multiple subplots with the time travel, like specifically on the time travel rules, and and they're different every time. So I don't know what this was. Was this because Kronos always happened, but other things are like they can just change and this is how it is now, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's completely wishy-washy. It's bollocks.
I don't know if I just don't get if this was supposed to always. Are we supposed to look at this season knowing Stein has always had this meeting and he's always known this is the outcome, or is this new and a separate thing?
Honestly, I don't think the writers know.
Cunts.
Especially watching. This is part of the problem, is going through the season. By the time we got to about like halfway through, and I realised that they have absolutely no fucking idea what the rules are for time travel. That was just one other element that just took me out of the show.
Yeah, it's a big one.
I mean, time travel, of course, is a made-up thing, but you have to have your rules. It can be different from other movies and TV shows, but you have to have your rules.
Yeah, I don't care what the rules are. Just stick to them.
Yeah. Legends has been an unfortunate failed experiment. But the one upside to it continuing, and the one upside to also Arrow continuing, is that Guggenheim still has to stay there and
Thank
work
fuck.
on those. Because I don't want him anywhere near Flash or Supergirl.
If he touches Supergirl, I will burn him to the fucking ground.
That's this week's Legends of Tomorrow, folks. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. What are your feelings on burning Guggenheim to the ground? Let us know. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.